we are drawn to the darkness. It lurks at the edges of our vision, whispering tales of terror and the unknown. Horror stories, like moths to a flickering flame, captivate us with their promise of fear. They offer a safe space to confront our deepest anxieties, to stare into the abyss without consequence. But what is it about these tales, these chilling narratives, that hold us spellbound? Horror, in its purest form, is a visceral experience. It bypasses logic and reason, striking at the core of our primal instincts. It's the quickened heartbeat, the cold sweat on the back of your neck, the feeling of being watched when you know you're alone. It's the unsettling realization that the world is not as safe and predictable as we like to believe. Horror stories thrive on the element of surprise, the sudden shift from the mundane to the terrifying. They play on our innate fears, the ones embedded deep within our psyche, the fear of the dark, the fear of the unknown, the fear of death. They remind us of our vulnerability, of the fragility of life, and the ever-present possibility of pain and suffering. But there's more to it than just cheap thrills. The best horror stories, the ones that truly resonate, offer a glimpse into the human condition. They explore themes of good and evil, sanity and madness, the choices we make and the consequences we face. They hold up a mirror to our own darkness, forcing us to confront the monsters within ourselves. Few authors understand the human psyche and the mechanics of fear as profoundly as Stephen King. His stories are not merely collections of gruesome images or jump scares, though he employs those masterfully. Instead, King's true genius lies in his ability to tap into our deepest fears, the ones that linger long after the book is closed and the lights are on. King's stories are often set in ordinary places, small towns, suburban neighborhoods, familiar landscapes, which he then twists and contorts into breeding grounds for terror. This juxtaposition of the mundane and the horrific serves to heighten the sense of unease, reminding us that nowhere is truly safe, that darkness can lurk even in the most unexpected corners. He populates his narratives with characters that are flawed, relatable, and deeply human. They are everyday people thrust into extraordinary, often terrifying circumstances. We see ourselves in their struggles, their hopes and their fears, and this connection makes their descent into horror all the more unsettling. In The Lawnmower Man and Grey Matter, two of his most chilling short stories, King masterfully utilizes elements of horror to evoke a palpable sense of dread and unease. He preys on our fear of the unknown, the grotesque and the loss of control, leaving us questioning the very fabric of reality. The Lawnmower Man takes the idyllic image of suburban life and warps it into something sinister. The story centers around Harold Parkett, a seemingly ordinary man who becomes obsessed with his lawnmower. The machine, initially a symbol of suburban domesticity, transforms into an instrument of chaos and destruction, reflecting Harold's own descent into madness. King masterfully builds suspense through vivid imagery and a creeping sense of unease. The once pristine lawn becomes a battleground, littered with the mangled remains of grass and, eventually, something far more sinister. The rhythmic drone of the lawnmower, typically a mundane sound, becomes an ominous soundtrack to Harold's growing madness. As Harold's obsession grows, so too does the body count. His victims, often those who dare to question his methods or encroach upon his lawn, meet gruesome ends. King doesn't shy away from the gore, but he uses it sparingly, allowing the reader's imagination to fill in the blanks, making the horror all the more effective. The story serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked obsession and the thin veil that separates civilization from savagery. It reminds us that even in the most ordinary of settings, darkness can fester and grow, transforming the familiar into something terrifying. King masterfully employs several key elements of horror in The Lawnmower Man to create a pervasive sense of dread. One of the most effective is the fear of the unknown. As Harold's behavior becomes increasingly erratic, the reader is left to wonder what drives him, what lurks beneath the surface of his seemingly ordinary facade. The grotesque also plays a significant role in the story's unsettling atmosphere. The graphic descriptions of the mangled corpses, The stench of blood and decay, and the sheer brutality of Harold's actions all contribute to a visceral sense of horror. King doesn't shy away from the physicality of violence, forcing the reader to confront the fragility of the human body. Perhaps most effectively, King utilizes the fear of transformation. Harold's metamorphosis from a seemingly harmless neighbor into a ruthless killer is both sudden and shocking. This transformation taps into our primal fear of the unknown, the unsettling possibility that anyone, even those we deem harmless, could harbor a dark side. Grey Matter takes a different approach to horror, focusing on the fear of the unknown and the grotesque transformation of the human body. The story follows a group of men in a small town who gather at a local store during a blizzard, sharing stories and seeking refuge from the storm. As the night progresses, they recount the chilling tale of Richie Grenadine and his horrifying transformation. Richie, a recluse who lives with his son in a dilapidated house, undergoes a gruesome metamorphosis after drinking a contaminated can of beer. His body begins to mutate, turning into a gelatinous, pulsating mass. King's descriptions of Richie's transformation are both vivid and repulsive, tapping into our primal fear of disease, decay, and the loss of our physical selves. The story unfolds through a series of fragmented narratives, each character offering their own perspective on Richie's transformation and the events that led to it. This technique creates a sense of disorientation and unease, mirroring the characters' own confusion and fear as they grapple with the unknown. Grey Matter is a story about the monsters that lurk within, both literally and figuratively. It explores themes of addiction, isolation, and the disintegration of the human spirit. The contaminated beer serves as a catalyst for Richie's transformation, but it also represents the destructive nature of his addiction and the slow decay of his soul. In both The Lawnmower Man and Grey Matter, King utilizes the element of time to heighten the sense of urgency and dread. In The Lawnmower Man, the story unfolds over a single day, with each passing hour marking Harold's descent into madness and violence. The reader is trapped in the immediacy of the narrative, forced to witness the escalating horror in real time. Grey Matter utilizes a similar technique, confining the narrative to the duration of the blizzard. The storm itself becomes a character, isolating the characters and amplifying their fear. As the blizzard rages outside, trapping them within the confines of the store, the men recount Richie's story, the tension building with each passing moment. This manipulation of time creates a claustrophobic atmosphere, trapping the reader within the narrative's relentless pace. There's no escape, no reprieve from the mounting horror. The characters are forced to confront their fears head-on, and the reader is right there with them, sharing in their terror. King excels at making his readers feel helpless, mirroring the plight of his characters. In The Lawnmower Man, we witness the gruesome fates of those who cross Harold's path, their attempts to reason with him or escape his wrath proving futile. Their helplessness becomes our own, as we are forced to observe their demise from the sidelines. Similarly, in Grey Matter, the characters are trapped by both the blizzard and the horrifying reality of Richie's transformation. They are powerless to stop the spread of the grey matter, powerless to save Richie from himself, and ultimately powerless to escape the terrifying truth of their situation. This sense of helplessness is further amplified by the story's ambiguous endings. In both narratives, King leaves the reader with unanswered questions, forcing us to confront the possibility that the horror may not be over, that the monsters may still lurk in the shadows. This lack of closure adds to the unsettling nature of the stories, leaving a lingering sense of unease long after the final page is turned. Why are we drawn to these tales of terror, these explorations of the darkest corners of the human psyche? Perhaps it's because horror stories offer a safe space to confront our fears, to stare into the abyss without consequence. They allow us to experience the thrill of fear and adrenaline without facing real danger. Or maybe it's the reminder that we are not alone in our fears. Horror stories connect us through shared experiences of terror, reminding us that even in our darkest moments, others have walked similar paths. They offer a sense of community, a shared understanding of the fragility of life and the ever-present potential for darkness. Whatever the reason, horror stories, particularly those crafted by masters of the genre like Stephen King, continue to captivate and terrify readers. They offer a glimpse into the darkest recesses of the human experience, reminding us that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are not the ones that go bump in the night, but the ones that reside within us all.